This video review is being brought to you by PrimeToys.net. PrimeToys.net, where you get your collector grade toys at not the collector grade prices. PrimeToys.net. And I'm a reviewer, so let the reviews be joined. Hey guys, your friend Dynamite here once again with you. And as you can see today, we're going to look at Transformers Combiner Wars Deluxe Class Mirage. The last of this wave from the Combiner Wars line. This wave, of course, included Ironhide, Prowl, Sunstreaker, and Mirage. Quick look at this guy before we get really into looking at this guy. We're looking at his accessories, and the first foremost, as normal, he had his comic book with the Hasbro exclusive cover. And like the others, this is a reprint, but not of the Robots in Disguise, or the not Robots in Disguise series. This is actually a reprint of the Windblade series. It's the basically Windblade 2 series or Windblade Combiner Wars series, whichever way you want to describe it as. This is actually a reprint of issue volume 1 from that series. If you don't know much about Windblade, I highly recommend you checking her out. If you had the figure, just as good. But Windblade was a female fan-made Transformer. Very cool character. I can't stress enough, guys, to check out the IDW series. You got basically the Windblade series. You have the the not Robots in Disguise series. You got the More Than Meets the Eye. You also have the RID, or the Robots in Disguise, that based on the animated series, which is basically a continuation of Prime, and you have the Transformers G.I. Joe comic series as well. I highly recommend you guys checking all this IDW continuality of the Transformers out. It's a very, very good stories. It's been running for years now, and they're actually the two main ones, the More Than Meets the Eye and the Not Robots in Disguise, are each getting really close to hitting that 50 issue mark, so definitely worth checking them out, guys. But we're going to go on and look at Mirage here. And like the others, he has his other accessories, his combiner limb, and his weapon. And as you can tell, this is a reprint of Drag Strip from the first wave of Combiner Wars. And oddly enough, after a little bit of research, I kind of figured this was about true, but I had to make sure. This is actually only the second release of this mold, and there's only, from what I've seen, there's only going to be one more use of the mold in the near future, and that's going to be the G2 mold of Drag Strip. So, I mean, this is actually one of the molds that's getting used the least. There's only like one other mold, I believe, that's only been used like 3 times now as well. But, I mean, it's been shocking how this one's being left behind by the others being used over and over and over and over and over. But real quick, we'll look at this guy. His paint scheme is definitely more G1-esque. I really do dig it. I've always said that a lot of times on some figures and some molds, the right paint can really bring it out. And this one does seem to really bring this mold out a lot more than the Drag Strip mold did. Or Drag Strip character. Nothing against that figure at all, or the character. It's just I think the paint really brings this mold out. Of course, you got the blue, you got the white, and you got the silver on the tail and the rims, and you got the white 62 Circuit Racing logo on the side, and you got the Allbot logo right there on the front. Definitely looks really good for this mold. Makes it look really, really good to me. Transform this guy, again, as I said with the other videos and all the deluxes, this guy basically has 4 modes. His vehicle mode, which is this, of course. You have his 2 limb modes of leg and arm, and you have his robot mode. In the comics and stuff of the IDW, Mirage is part of the Optimus Maximus team, and he's the right arm. But before we get into his arm mode, so we're going to show off his leg mode. And to do so, it's real easy. There's nothing to it at all. First, basically fold the back end, all this up to bring it up to almost make it into a foot without it. You then want to just simply pull this whole front fuselage or front section of it back, and then you rotate it around like so, and you got your peg hole here, and you got your peg there, and you got your peg hole right up here, which you'll peg that in together at like so, and then you'll just simply fold the head back up into the back end, pull the combiner port out straight up, and then you'll take his limb and peg it right into the bottom for his foot. And there you have Mirage in in his foot mode, which it doesn't look too shabby, but it's just not one of the better looking ones in my opinion for a leg. There's not much else to say. I mean, he does have the same bit here with the knee like the other ones do, but it still looks really good for that. But you know, it's not one of the best looking molds use of the leg in my opinion. I think he looks a lot better as an arm. But let's go ahead and do that. Well, before we switch to his arm mode, we're going to go to robot mode. To do so, we'll just take the combiner port off, or combiner limb, excuse me. We'll rotate them around, and best way to do this, real simple from this mode, it's only like 3 steps and you're done. You raise these side portions out, which of course is arms. Pull them straight out like so, and like so. You then can go ahead and grab right here and just pull, which at the same time it will pull this back section apart to form his legs and his feet, and then you'll rotate right here at the waist like so, and you basically have him pretty much done, aside from of course flipping his hands out like so. And you then rotate of course the combiner port back into his chest. And then last but not least, all you gotta do is flip the head back down and rotate it back around. And we have Mirage in robot mode. Not bad looking at all. I've said this before with a lot of these figures. I think the head sculpts on these guys, especially Mirage, looks really good. If you compare it to the drag strip, which sadly I don't have mine. I sold mine, my whole Minnesota team, and I'm hoping to get the Unite Warriors, not only for personal to keep, but to review as well. So be on the watch out for that. Hopefully within somewhat the near future. But again, like I said, his head sculpt looks really, really good on this. Definitely a lot of improvement from the drag strip mold. Like I said before, it's not the mold itself, it's the paint, and I think the paint from Mirage just makes this mold look a lot better. You can, of course, like normal, he has the same articulation. He has his head's on a ball joint to swivel all around. Got the swivel here in the arms, right there below the shoulder. He's got the elbow, no finger articulation, swivel in his waist, of course, and then the swivel there in the knee, because the leg, you know, the hip here is on a ball joint. You got the swivel, of course, right there as well. So you got nice articulation for all of them. You can, of course, put his weapon in his hand. Whereas if you want to put it as a gun or a sword, you can. Which I personally think this weapon looks much better as a gun, and it actually looks kind of like, not exactly, but you know, not a perfect match, but it does kind of resemble Mirage's gun from a G1. And before we get on to the next step here, or transform into his limb mode, his other limb mode, his arm mode, I want to show what people have done to make this look more G1-esque. A couple tricks to it, because you can do it. I'm going to move his gun out of the way. You can kind of do it, and you kind of, depends on how much you want to put into it. First, you want to go ahead and swivel his waist back around like you're putting him back in vehicle mode. And when you turn him around, like so, you got his legs back here, and you got basically, this is basically how Mirage was in the G1, where you had his front end here, basically was his chest. If you unpeg that from there, and you kind of push it down just a little bit more, there's not really a peg hole, but you can kind of stick it like right in this general area, one of these two slots, depending on how hard you want to push it down. I find it easier just to put the peg hole right there into this section right here, so it just kind of sits in there better. You then can rotate his head around like you're going to put him back into robot mode, or excuse me, his car mode, and you can rotate these around to form his arms, which this isn't a bad deal, because you can, because of the way this joint is here, you can actually take these and just push them and pop them off. I'm not going to do it on this, but you can pop these off on both sides and then just take this one and pop it on this side and vice versa, and that gives you the G1S, because when you do it like this, as you can see, I got to straighten them out a little bit more. He has this big openings on his outside, but if you rotate him around, you'll have this on the inside, which gives him more of a G1S look. And you can do that, and you can keep popping it off, popping it back on if you want to. And it wouldn't be so bad. I mean, it's not a bad look for him. It definitely gives him a G1S look. I've seen a couple of pictures of a guy that's took a weapon of some kind. I can't remember what it was. I can't even find the images now. But he basically took it and he kind of stuck it in here like so to give the Mirage his missile that he had in the cartoon. So I mean, you can do that. If I can find an image, I will try and post a link to it below. But this is basically him in his G1S mode, which you can do. And as you can see, it doesn't look too bad at all. I actually like it a lot. But I'm not willing to pop these off right now. But you know, it's an option for you if you want to give him his G1S look. Next, we're going to switch him into his limb mode. I'm going to do it into his right arm, because in the comics he is a right arm for Optimus Maximus. To do it, real simple again. We're actually going to do it from this mode because it's kind of just as easy. Flip his head down. You'll want to flip his arms, or excuse me, his hands back into his arms. Rotate the arms back, of course, but you'll rotate them straight up. But you flip it down into this position here. Rotate the shoulder or the ratchet here around and flip it up like so. Do the same on this side. Just work it back into that position. And you have like that, you have it basically into a shoulder. But being the right arm, go ahead and pull the ratchet joint out, or excuse me, the combiner port out. Like so. You peg the legs back together. Like so. You then, again, like I said, I'm doing this for his right arm. You want to rotate it this way. You can rotate it this way. It's really whichever you prefer to do it, whichever look you prefer. You'd rather have the bottom of the car as the forearm, or would you rather have the top of the car as the forearm? Just for this, I'm just going to do it this way. You then take the combiner port, or excuse me, the combiner limb here. You pop the fingers out, rotate it down into the right arm, a right hand position, and just peg it in. And there we have Mirage in his right arm mode. And honestly, of the modes for him in limb, I think his arm looks a lot better than leg. And of course, this is how he's supposed to be in the comics, and that this is how, as I said, this is his limb mode for Optimus Maximus. Not too bad at all. I think it really looks, if I had this pegged in, it'd help it better. I should know you might want to put this pegged into your, like you have them in original instructions that shows it instead of the G1S mode, just to keep this level. But looks pretty good. There's a better side view of it. I think it looks really good for him in this mode. But we're going to switch him back to regular robot mode, not the G1 style mode. Flip it around, spread these back apart, put the combiner port back in, pull the arms back up, put the hands back out, flip this hand. Oh, I'm running into the wheel there. Put that hand back around. There we go. And we just simply flip the head down, rotate it back around. And here's Mirage back in robot mode. Not too shabby at all, guys. This guy is really good look. Like as I said several times now, I've thought that this mold just really brought out the, or just give me this paint has just really brought out the mold use of this, or the use of this mold. But there again, here's Mirage Robot Mode. And that's basically going to be it. I do highly recommend, if you want to pick this guy up, check him out from primetoys.net. Have a link below to pick him up from there. And don't forget, guys, if you go to primetoys.net, as you're picking up things, find things, whatever you like, if you go on there and you type in, as you go to checkout, use the code Transmissions December through the month of December, you can get 10% off of your order. So I highly recommend you checking out Transmissions. If you're wondering, of course, as I've said several times in my other videos, is federally sponsored by primetoys.net. They are a podcast with a great group of guys that talk anything and everything Transformers. I'm a big fan of them myself, and I highly recommend you guys check them out. They are definitely worth listening to, because you can get any news you want on third-party news, comic book news. They review comics and everything. Definitely worth checking them out and see how good they are. But thanks for watching, guys, and as always, please like, comment, and share this video. If you haven't done so, please subscribe. And this is Dinobot saying thanks for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon.